sometime in 1940, we had a big fire. 1931, the fire started down at the grocery store, which is down in the middle of town that goes up past the schoolhouse, but it was on this street right here, and it burned down most. And that was very that was a very frequent issue of mining towns in those. They were all built of wood, and usually those towns like Silver City and those places would burn to the ground.
And Geri, remember Mom's engagement ring was in the safe, and they sifted the sand and found it?
They did? Oh my gosh, that's a great story.
Your mom's? Yeah. My mom's.
But right here was the Beverly Howard and her parents, Nell Howard and Dorothy. They lived right here with up to that thing, and the fire stopped in their house, but not before it burned down their house. And we had a theater and an assay office, and it all burned in the fire in 1931. And then in 43 they had another fire, and
That's
I remember my mom. We lived up on somewhere else in a little shack up there, but at that time, mom got all my toys, and she was moving out because the fire was coming, and she had a tricycle and something else that was mine, and my dolls and stuff. Nothing of her stuff was she saving, but she saved all my stuff.
So Mom, where was the brewery? Was there a brewery too?
The brewery was up above the graveyard, and I'll show you where that is. Go to the cemetery.
I didn't know.
My aunt and uncle came, and because I stayed all night at her house, and several times I would stay all night at her house, and that was a pretty hard drive that he had to come down here. So, but it's pretty steep even now. It's pretty 38 years later. My goodness. And there was a wonderful young man that lived here named John the Connell, and they were miners, and he had stars and moons and stuff like on the ceiling that shined at night. So Mom bought me some like that. And I was really happy. That made me feel really good. Sandy lives here, and she's lived in Atlanta since 1976. For me, because I almost got married. I was in the first grade, and I was going to marry Superman. Now, I hadn't heard of Spider-Man, or that might have been, but I really, really loved Superman, and his name was Billy McCoy, and the McCoys lived where this house is, but it looked like that other house that's up there, chinked, that log cabin. And so on the first grade, we went to the school that's down there on Main Street, and Billy was in the first grade, and so was I, and he pooped his pants. So I decided I would not marry him. And he told my mom...
There's nothing wrong with pooping your pants, right, kid?
And he told my mom that I still wanted to marry him, and she told him I would not marry him. So and I was just
you got to draw the line somewhere.
I was mortified that he pooped his pants. So I really remember it very, very well. That's one of my memories. But I would ride my bicycle from above this house where it says 23. I got a bicycle when I was 14. Now, when you're 14 in Atlanta, you were in the 8th grade, just about. I was 14. That's the first bicycle I'd ever had, and I'd wanted one for years and years and years. Well, by then I moved, and my parents stayed here, and I went and lived with an aunt and uncle. So when I was 14, they bought me a bicycle. I started right where that propane tank is. And I got on my bicycle to show my dad what a great bicycle rider I was, and I hit that freaking tree right there.
Was it a little smaller then?
Probably. It seemed that's an awful big tree. And so I remember that because I was very embarrassed because I was trying to show off to my dad. So Uncle Bob and my dad, Howard, they quit school to help him build the houses when spring came so that they would have a house in which they lived there. Until it burned down. It accidentally got burnt. So, but it was, I can't imagine living in the tent house up here in the winter. And then Uncle Bob and Dad, Howard, they didn't go to any more school after that. But Aunt Deanie did, My Aunt Charlene lives right here. Andy lives here now. I think you met my cousin Aunt. This is what Andy did. Last night we were out dancing, he and I. And then his mom eventually moved into that house. And so Andy owns it now. A bit. And this is the hill for that cute little girl with her all of her pigtails and everything like that.
Oh, wow.
Where she learned to ski. And they got an old car battery and hooked up a rope. And we would come from that road down there, right up here, and then we would just ski down. And we used inner tube instead of ski boots or ski. They'd have inner tubes that, like, if you fell down, you'd probably break your leg.
Yeah.
I never broke my leg. And
Now, is that your great granddaughter?
This is my. That's me.
What? No way.
Changed a little bit in 38 years.
Not much.
78. I've been telling. I lie about my age so often.
You're only 45, right?
Yeah, 38. 70. And that's the school down there that I went to school at.
Which one?
And, it's on the left side of that the basketball hoop.
Our little Cindy.
Had a little basketball hoop down there, too. They had the basketball court.
We lost her.
No, they did not. There was another schoolhouse there actually.
Oh, was that right? What happened to the original?
I was right there.
I never went to that school because by the time I got old enough to leave school, they were consolidating.
You remember.
I remember that.
So was there only one teacher for all the grades?
Well, at the beginning, when I decided not to marry Billy McCoy, there was a young school teacher that came in for just a little while, but so I don't count her because I don't even remember her really. But Mrs. Hartman taught for 8 years.
She was my teacher.
Was she your teacher?
Yep.
And she was a little round lady, and she was pretty strict, and she'd slap your hands, you know,
Oh, yeah.
punish you. So
With a ruler.
So you had her first grade to 8th
I was
grade?
her pet, actually.
I wasn't.
When I graduated from the when I graduated from the 8th grade, there was 4 of us in my class, and that graduated at the same time. There were 3 of them, so there were 4 of us together. And after that, I went to Gooding to high school and lived with an aunt and uncle, which was the aunt was Aunt Florence, Mom's sister. And Aunt Florence had come to Atlanta 10 years before the rest of us got here because she was a school teacher and she taught school up here. And she encouraged.
What's that?
Gunfire.
She encouraged, people. Aunt Florence did. A lot of people to go to school and go to college and things like that.
She taught me too. Aunt Florence did.
When I went to St. Alphonsus to go to nursing school after I graduated from Gooding High School, it was a nursing school. I can't tell you what I was going to tell you. What did I just say?
When you went to St. Alphonsus after going to Gooding High
Yeah,
School?
when I went to St. Alphonsus. My tuition was $525 for 3 years. Just that for the whole 3 years.
That's books for one semester.
And then the nuns would.
For one semester.
Just can't.
Just can't. I can go ahead. So when I went to nursing school, then what I would do is I'd work from 7 in the morning until 10 in the morning, and then I'd go to school from 10 to 5 in the evening, and then I'd go back and put all the patients to bed and get them ready for surgery, and etc. So then, they got their money's worth out of me with my $525 tuition. But I'm fairly sure that my grandma, Aunt Nana, Ethel, I'm fairly sure she paid my tuition. I never knew quite how. Because Mom and Dad didn't have a pot to pay in, not much at all. And in nursing school, and then I never came back in the summers, or I'd come up on weekends and stuff, but I never came back to live in Atlanta. During the war, Mom moved us down to the foot of town where it says "Welcome to Atlanta, 1864," down at the bottom. I lived in a house down there with just Mom and I. And Dad, when he came home from World War II, he was kind of a pain in the butt because Mom and I were in charge, and I didn't know, I didn't know Dad that well, and he was, I think, so I thought, who is this guy?
Yeah.
But he loves all of us, and he would be so proud of all of us if we were here right now.
Did Janny Sue go to this school as well?
Janny Sue went there for a year.
Just for 1 year?
Just when she was 6 years old.
Okay.
First grade. So she tries to tell you she's a native Atlantan, but she's not.
She didn't do 8
She
years
was
of
supposed
school
to go to
there.
Borah High School, but she never did. Dad found out that she wasn't attending. Is Janny Sue here?
I don't think so.
Be sure to tell her that I told on her.
Okay.
Because that just really gets
We'll
to
say
her.
that you didn't call her a real Atlantan.
Okay. She's actually pretty real.
Now, why did they name it Atlanta?
That's just exactly what
Atlanta, Georgia. It was 1864 was when they burned Atlanta. I think they were Confederates. I think they were Confederates.
Well, I read
Found
some.
this town?
So I read something last night. I'm not sure if this is true, but they named when they came here and they settled here. It was around the Battle of Atlanta.
Yeah.
And and there was rumors that the Confederacy had won the Battle of Atlanta, so they named it the city Atlanta, and celebrating the Confederate victory in the Battle of Atlanta. Turns out it was wrong, and the Union had won in the Battle of Atlanta.
And they just kept the name.
They just kept the name.
They already named it.
We could have been called Brooklyn.
Yeah. The sign is already made.
Yeah. They already had the year written on and everything.
The Confederates were the founders of the town. Is that correct?
I guess they were Confederate
Soldiers or Confederate expeditions.
sympathizers.
And right here on the end is my guy I didn't marry, Billy
Whatever
McCoy.
happened to him?
And here's me.
Jerry, you know whatever happened to Billy?
He went and worked in the Kellogg mines
Oh, wow.
up in Kellogg. Because a lot of times the miners would go from one town, the same group, then they'd end up in another town like Stibnite or Yellow Pine or Silver City or Atlanta, so Rocky Bar.
Are any of these kids still living up here? Did they move back up here like you did? Anyone you went to high school or anyone you went to K through 8 with?
The Lannings were here and they stayed.
Sharon
Sharon,
Lanning.
and Billy. And,
Yeah, I know.
but if you can just imagine what a great skier I was. But that looks like at least 3 miles, don't you think?
Oh, I'm thinking at least. It's higher than Greylock for my comparison. I'm gonna hold this stuff for you. Do we want to hop back on the
Put
fourth
it
track?
in my bag. I got it. Okay, I wanted to do this. Mountain Paradise. And this is written by an uncle of mine on the Howard side of the family. So it's another different connection and different cousins. There's only one Howard left, and she takes care of her husband. He's disabled, so she couldn't come. But this is, I told her I'd read this poem that her dad wrote about the sawtooth. We're only 14 miles from Alturas Lake. So, we're Sun Valley people, actually. Actually, we're not. But
Just a different limb.
this is my Mountain Paradise, and this was written by Melvin Howard. And he was always sick, but he had a great musical, played the fiddle or something. And I remember him a bit. And he used to always pull his telephone out of the wall when his daughters made him mad. And but he was a nice man, I guess. Mountain Paradise. Yes, I'll head for my home in the Sawtooth, over trails so familiar to me, and I'll leave all the strings of the city, all united in a smoldering heap. And I'll pray for our good Lord, and I'll pray that our good Lord stays willing to walk by my side as of old. Then I'm sure that this tired, heavy-hearted heart won't haunt me or hurt me no more. I'll finish this life where it's peaceful, where those stiffly tall whispering pines will sing me to sleep when I'm weary in this high mountain paradise. And there's one thing for sure and for certain, that never no more will I roam from my haunts in those high rugged sawtooths and my picturesque hillbilly homes. So that was an uncle of mine that he worked up here in the mines for a couple of years too.
You want to hop back on the 4 track?
Yeah, we'll go up to the cemetery now. And there's a brewery up there, but they're not serving right now.
Oh, that's too bad.